Back to a good couple of seasons.
And he comes into bat. Some would say it's a time for him to come in. You've got a lead, come play his natural game. You've got to look for anything on offer, test that defense, and he won't die wondering. He's a good player of putting the bad ball away, always looking for that opportunity. So interesting to see how he goes here.
South Africa will probably eyeing anything over 300 and form a little partnership here with Timber.
A look at the wicket again, and Neil, from a batter's perspective, you go with that.
I think he started bowling his first few, and that's what we're saying is about hitting just sort of getting that line outside off, pulling that batsman's heads across. But the length here for me is really, really good. I don't think Keegan's done too much wrong, other than just looking for a one. It's not like it's pop, bounce, grab the glove. He's actually in a decent position and hit it straight at Joy, who just can't get out the game at this stage with his 130 in the first innings. He's everywhere. We've seen he's got a safe pair of hands, so I don't think we can say it's a dismissal. I think he was almost looking for that one. I don't think he was in a bad position.
But those guys come into play, don't they, when that line is shifted, and if you hit the correct length, and it's exactly what sort of we're on about with that pitch map and where the ball ends up, and if it's straight, if it's dead straight all the time, then yeah, it's quite easy because the ball's coming in and it's coming at you. Don't have to go anywhere, don't have to go and get it. But where you're having to make a decision on, you know, do I get out there? Am I forward? Am I back? Got to be balanced as well. And it turns and some might jump.
Yeah, that's the danger of hitting the ball airborne, especially with those fielders around the bat. Subcontinent teams, so dangerous around the bat.
And the nerves off the start. 1-2-6 for 3.
And he's just dragged across. That's that attacking line we're talking about. That was on fourth stump. So Keegan Peterson moving across the crease, probably getting a little inside the ball, and hasn't got the control that if he had been pitched sort of on off stump, middle stump. So, and that's the important about trying to pull a batsman across the crease.
This is a real good passage of play for Bangladesh. Temple will recognize that they'll have to get through this little period of play, making sure that they absorb the pressure from a Bangladesh point of view.
Hey, Tuscan Ahmed. That's a lot of strapping, and there you go, shake of the head, and he's tried a couple of times. Gone out there and bowled, and that's all it was actually. didn't get too much more in terms of, you know, what's happened and what's going on with his shoulder. It's not too bad. He can still have a cup of tea. And yet still a contribution.
That's what you want, showing a bit of heart. Been asked to come back injured. Hit a fantastic length, paced down a little bit, but just smashed his length.
Oh, wow! Oh, goodness gracious! That is unbelievable! What a take! Yasser Ali! My goodness!
That is simply wow. Having dropped one earlier in the day, Epidot, thick outside heads, but how's that for a take? Wow! That is absolutely fantastic.
My. That is just fantastic. That's the reaction of here. Man, it is some catch that. We will watch that over and over again. It's good work being done by Bangladesh here. 126 for 3 becomes 100. Becomes 126 for 4. It's Bavuma gone. In South Africa, a time when back into this one. South Africa's lead moving along quite quickly in this session, trying to put themselves in a very good position. But Bangladesh waiting to have a look at this. You want to see it. What a catch.
You won't get too many better than this. Yes, Ali low to his left. And that's one, let me tell you, that's a tough catch as well, because they've left a little gap between first. He's sitting at about a 1.5. He sees it, he goes with a big paw.
$130 for 4.
Well, they've been so good. They've hit an area. Ibadot getting a little bit greedy, which is okay to the new batsman. Calverani just walks inside at a touch, gets a A little tickle on it, and his account's open.
Oh! Straight in and straight out. Goes very quickly. Came off the middle of that, I think.
Yeah, you'd feel this is another chance. Maybe just drop short. But his body momentum taking him back. Yeah, the last 6 overs. 3 for 14 Bangladesh.
As what often tells you, and they were all up. They even lifted him up. Everdot was so happy he lifted him up. A second wicket for him.
Yeah, we've always to pick the team up. It was certainly that moment for Bangladesh. You can just sense that there's a massive sense of belief again.
A steadying required here for South Africa.
Here we got two of the younger men in the side. One debuting, but both want to play. If both are there for a little period, they'll be getting the runs.
1-3-1 for 4.
At theatre, something happening every ball, a bit of excitement. That's exactly what we come to expect of Test match cricket.
Well, how have the fortunes changed? See the man of the moment a little earlier this morning. Straight through his grasp, nearly clonked him on the head. Just a couple of hours later, this piece of brilliance. So I've got a little theory on the 2 frames you've just seen. First of all, he dropped the ball with the strapping, so he decided he didn't need any strappings for the next one with the left hand. Caught it without the strapping. And my other theory would be, in Bangladesh, you don't catch too many above your shoulder off the seamer. So not really practicing that often the higher catches, but you're catching nice and low, and that is a phenomenal catch. action of his teammates there. That is a seriously good. Everything right about that. On his back, so generally sometimes when you go for those low ones, normally hit your elbow on the ground and that ball can pop out. And listen, Dus, who's a quietly spoken man, if he's giving you a hug, you know it's a good one.
What was good too of the last replay we just saw is him getting ready. He's there waiting and is ready, and his hands are feet limp, loose, waiting to go. That one's high. He's unsure which way to go. He's late. He was surprised. Remember being, you look at that on the left there, ready and waiting, stays low, then he knows. Just excellent. Can turn around.
Yeah, Pom, there's one way to redeem yourself.
Seamers, you see they've got some catches in place. They've got the deep square there for the short ball. In South Africa, we're looking at this and just using copy and paste. When I say copy and paste, we know what the wicket is doing. You want to hit a good length, try and bring that batsman in that in-between position coming forward, not knowing where to come forward, and in the deep to guard for that short ball, to let the batsman know, listen, don't just jump on that front foot. And they've bowled really well. That mid-wicket's a little bit straighter, which tells you they're trying to bowl that off-stump line.
One and 126 for 4. We'll have the upper hand in the last little while. It's time for a drink.
Pleasant afternoon here in Durban at Hollywood Bets Kingsmead, but it hasn't been pleasant for South Africa. It's been very good by Bangladesh post-lunch. They've taken 27 for 3 in the 13 overs since the break. When one expected to see South Africa pushing on towards a declaration, that's probably out of their minds now. They just want to get themselves in a position where they don't get bowled out cheaply and enable Bangladesh to come back into the test to chase down something that's very achievable. So the game is once again in the balance thanks to the performance by the Bangladeshi bowlers and fielders since the lunch break. Here are the wickets that have fallen in this innings. Sarel Ervia trapped LBW by the persevering Eberdot on review. Elgar also on review, gets one that nips back, keeps a bit low. It was denied initially and given out on review. Good catch, sharp catch, but nicely taken there by Mohamed Joy to give Mahedi his wicket. Then watch this. Fielding of the match, Yasir Ali, the Burley frame, low to his left and at fast motion. That's a quite exquisite catch. 132 for 4. South Africa lead by 201. They're not safe by any stretch with that lead. But Bangladesh is certainly getting themselves back in this. Look at all those vultures clustered around the bat. Punched away on the offside for the one. So a very different complexion on proceedings this afternoon, Ashwell and Sean. Welcome to you. From what we were thinking at lunch was South Africa pacing the game and perhaps setting up a declaration 20 minutes, 30 minutes after tea. Now they're playing for position again.
Good afternoon, Bert, Sean and all the viewers. Yes, it's been a fascinating test match. Seesawing right from the start of this match in the first session. South Africa not losing a wicket. Nearly 100 on the board in that first session on day one, and looked like right from the outset South Africa will just get so far ahead in the game, and Bangladesh being under pressure. But they fought back throughout, and it's been a seesaw battle, and still approaching the tea time on day 4. Still anybody's game, and Bangladesh keep fighting back.
They have. That's been the feature of the match. It's been South Africa edge ahead, Bangladesh fight back. South Africa edge ahead, Bangladesh fight back. They've never got themselves ahead of the game of Bangladesh. But credit to them, their away form has always been questionable until Mount Maunganui, when suddenly that belief has come that they can win anywhere. And they're not going away here. There is so much fight in this visiting side. And on other occasions and other tours, they might have just wilted, and when the pressure was 175 for 1, effectively the lead at lunch, and they've come back again.
Yeah, you also feel that as you're watching those South African wickets fall, a couple of LBWs, they only got them after they've been overturned, and had 1 or 2 other referrals gone their way, or other tight calls, there might have been an opportunity for them early in the game to get ahead. It just feels like they've been on the wrong end of a few tight calls. Umpires' calls are always going South Africa's way thus far.
I think when you look at the batting lineup as well, the main scorer, Dean Elgar, 64. He had those 2 drop catches. I think that's the key.
Turned away for the single. He'll keep the bowling, Will Rickleton. It's 134 for 4. Haven't been many examples of big scores chased here at Kingsmead. The last test here, though, was one of them, when Pereira played that memorable innings to get 304 for 9. So only 3 scores more than this chase would be already at this stage that have been successful. That'll give you some idea of the magnitude that awaits Bangladesh, whatever they have to chase here. But Sri Lanka show it can be done. Pereira's great knock that got them home by that solitary wicket in the last test match here, which was 3 years ago. Australia, when South Africa, from memory goes back there, didn't enforce the follow-on. The 340 was Gibbs 100, Kirsten 60, Cullis 60, and Prince 48. that was that big chase there. That was a great chase. The pitch was good, though. Weather was good, but against that Australian attack, that's an excellent achievement. Spoken about Pereira. Back in the 50s, Andrew Sampson will correct me, but I think South Africa didn't enforce the follow-on. The wicket got wet. They got bowled out for 75 in their second innings, and Australia chased 336. Neil Harvey, was it? Neil Harvey got 151, yeah. Pulled away out in front of squares. They try the short one for the first time in some while. They'll get back for 2.
Scores which might have been not on the winning end of a chase, and I remember we had one test match here where we fought out for a draw against England. It's not the kind of surface that really disintegrates, is it? It doesn't really get too bad up and down, but I think there's enough to work with for the bowlers now.
What did you chase against Pakistan when you fell just 20 odd short, Polly, in that game, and you got a couple of wickets and I think got a 70, I remember.
Yeah, that could have also been, I think it might have been like a 270 or something that we had to chase and fell a little bit short.
Yeah, they are. Okay, the timeless test stands out a little bit there. 654 for 5.
370 on a losing cause. 240 for 5 on a winning cause.
Yeah, there's those 340, 336, 304 that we highlighted. But the ones beneath that, you can see it is possible to bat in the 4th innings here. Yeah, those are games that South Africa didn't survive. The 2 against Australia, 298, 297. The drawn match that you referred to, where South Africa held on against England in the gloom.
So it almost looks as like 300. I mean, or Sri Lanka just got over 300 to win. So it's like, if you have to chase 275, 300, I think that's, on this kind of pitch, is probably like an upper echelon of what you'd have to achieve.
Slashed away down towards the vacant third man, and 4. That's how Rickleton plays. He's not afraid, even at the elevated level, that when he gets one that he identifies, he's going to throw the hands at it, gets it away for 4.
Yeah, it was a good play off the back foot. Is Ryan Rickleton, a pull shot away to deep square leg early on in this over, and then on this occasion a bit of width off it outside of stump, and high foul player that he is, throws the hands at it. Lots of space out, down, deep back with a point.
Got a lot of inexperience out there in this partnership, and this will be, if they can muster something here, Verreynne and Rickleton, it'll be a lot about their growth as international players. Verreynne only his 7th test. He got a lot of growth out of that 100 in his last match in Christchurch, where South Africa won over New Zealand. But Rickleton will benefit and grow as a player if he and Verreynne, in this tight little situation, effectively 209 for 4, can put together a 50 stand plus, and then that'll get South Africa once again back in front of the game. He may apologise, Ryan Rickleton, for backing away, but Eberdot not happy.
You don't get your energy back as a bowler. It's gone. If you run those 30 meters. And sometimes you think that was the ultimate delivery I had in me. That delivery was going to be the one that defined my career.
That's pushing the boat out, isn't it? The rhythm was just absolutely perfect. The gather was just about right.
Unbelievably good.
Now he has to do it all over again. Six from the over. It's 140 for 4.
Yeah, you mentioned the growth that the players will earn through negotiating this period of play. Of course, it was a similar situation that enabled South Africa to get into a strong position in New Zealand when Verreynne got his first test century.
Just a reminder of how these two sides have fared against one another over their history of contests that's gone back 20 years. 12 matches played. South Africa have won 10 and just drawn 2, and both of those were rain-affected matches in Bangladesh. So South Africa, much as it was for the one-day series, they'd never lost an ODI to Bangladesh until this particular series, which Bangladesh won 2-1. Bangladesh have never won a test on South African soil. Here's Mahedi, goes to Verena. This is a tight field to be bowling to. He can't stray with any width because there's mid-off and then everyone else is close catching on the offside. There's 6-3 onside field, no one out, saying play the big shot. Go on, take me on. Just the only man out is the straight one at long on.
Yeah, you don't feel that South Africa will look to declare at the total of around 280, but you just feel that should they be bowled out for a lead of around 288, it would set up an incredible game, wouldn't it?
Yeah, for the armchair watcher, the impartial, that would be a beautiful chase. Oh, quicker and just nipping back a little, and Verena very late onto it, eyeing that vacant offside.
Yeah, I think this one was a bit full. That was the problem. And you can see a little bit of drift. It's released. It looks like it's maybe near like a one-day wide line, but by the time it pitches, it's just continued to drift in on the angle. It's often the thing you have to work out as an off spinner. Sometimes they get really close to the stump. Get really close to the stumps, drifted away.
For 4. I'm just imagining from a South African perspective which batsman they'd prefer at which end. Is it as you'd want it now, the seamer being handled by Rickleton and the right-hander facing the off-spinner? Is he more of a threat if it was the other way round?
Yeah, Rickleton has had his issues against the off-spinner, as most left-handers do. But he's very comfortable against the seam, and particularly playing off the back foot, as we've already seen thus far.
I'm also, we'll perhaps do the study again when Mahedi's bowling, if he's bowling to Verena. Verena, I've always seen in domestic cricket, been very busy against spin, uses his feet, sweeps a lot, and he's put that away for the timing. He's quite defensive in his approach to the off-spinner. We'll pause with that thought because our attention switches to the change of bowling from the Old Fort end. Back into the attack is the impressive Khalid Ahmed. Hasn't got a wicket in this innings, but he did well in the first innings. 4 for 94. Kept the brakes on South Africa getting away. He goes round the wicket and goes to Rickleton. Just 35 runs scored since lunch, which is almost an hour and a half ago. It's a number of overs bowled in this period as we're in the 17th over, so they're going along at just 2 and over. South Africa would have been thinking they want to keep going at their rate of around about 3.5 during the course of the morning session when they dominated proceedings. It's turned around again, as this test has. It's ebbed and it's flowed. Nicely forced off the back foot away for 4. He stood tall, allowed it to get to him.
that's what the captain will probably be in the air of. Shorter length. And that's what the captain will probably be in the air of. Khalid saying, listen, he's scoring down there. Okay, he's getting a slight, maybe edgy shots or playing with an angled bat, but it's the length that's the problem. Get it slightly fuller. Ask him not to play. Get him on the front foot. And as we say that, there's actually extra protection that's going behind point on the offside to try and prevent those boundaries. I think they're scared. They don't want any extra runs to be accumulated. They want to try and keep this total that they have to chase as small as possible.
Oh, that's a poor shot. That's a lot tighter. It's a lot better length, and it was just a firm-footed prod.
All I'm going to say is check, check.
Yeah, no real foot movement. Not in a strong position at all from Rickleton, and throwing the hands wide away from the body. Not a lot going for it.
The over rate today has certainly not been as high as it has been through the test. It's almost as if it's just been dragged out. He's keeping pressure on the younger player, making him wait. But Andy Parcroft, the match ref, will be keeping an eye on this. Nicely pushed away for one, even though it's... Well, it's not Mahedi this time, it's Shadman, but they had to hustle. Good run. Sean, you've played at Kingsmead for many a long day, and when this wind, the wind that's been predominant wind throughout the test match has been the southwester. It's now switched complete. This is actually the good weather wind, the northeaster. Often a pitch that might be a little bit nippy and to go around on the southwester tends to flatten out on the northeaster.
Yeah, I think it's more when it's that strong northerly that it has a bit of effect. But what another peach of a day here at Kingsmead. A lot of concern about the rain and the light and everything.
Why?
Look at it. Look how good it is. Beauty.
Perfect day. Now Verena. Keeps a bit low. End of the over, 5 from it. 145 for 4. Now the over rate today is only 12.5 to the yard. It's been particularly slow, as I can understand with the workload on the seamers in the Bangladesh side, with Tuscan only able to bowl 5 overs before he left the field with a shoulder injury. So it's going to be the bulk of Ebadot and Khaled, with Mahedi whirling away.
There's the Moses Mabhida Stadium. Just behind that is the Shark Tank. Victory there for the Sharks not so long ago, 50 points to something. And then on the right you can see the Indian Ocean. Plenty of sharks in there as well.
51-3, Polly. Come on, get it right now.
Once it gets to 50, you stop counting, don't you?
They blow the final whistle. After a miserable performance the week before, but nonetheless bouncing back. Here's Mahedi. This is the battle he'll want. To the left-hander. Goes to Rickleton. He just doesn't look... He looks a little mechanical against the off-spinner when he has to come forward. It's a big leaping stride, a low prod with the hands. There's nothing soft about it.
Good ball, Miraj.
And they're waiting. Short leg, silly point, slip all for that little edge, whether it's directly off the outside edge or the inside edge onto the pad. And they can be leaping forward to complete the catch. Oh, it's been parried away past the line by the short cover. They'll just get the one, but that was a better stride. He got to the pitch of the ball there, Rickleton. It was a slightly fuller delivery, and he started to play some neat shots as the debutant, the left-hander who's just come into the side. Verena, who is uncharacteristically but understandably with the situation, quite in defensive mode against the off-spinner. As we said earlier, he normally likes to play sweep shots and be busy, get down the pitch to the spinner. There's the sweep, and is it out? Is it out? It might have just... Oh, it's given! It's given. Verena immediately refused. This one is a question of whether it turned enough, but we were just saying he likes to sweep and hasn't, has been defensive in mode. And he's pulled out the big shot here, and has it cost him?
We have a player
sent it up for review in the first innings. It wasn't a good one. He tatted into the middle of the stump, but this time around he's got the sweep shot out. Bangladesh side, they were asking the question. In many ways, they were begging. They thought it was close. Let's have a look.
Okay, it doesn't appear to be any bet. Can we just go to ultra edge?
It looks like there might be
just waiting for ultra edge.
Too much turn here. I don't think there's inside edge involved. Might be heading down that leg side.
Still waiting for ultra edge.
Yeah, the length is good, but as it pitches, it just turns quite a bit. And then sometimes to work out how it's gone on through, because
ultra
it makes contact with the pad.
Just keep rolling that through, roll that through. There's a flat line. Just keep rolling, keep rolling.
Won't be any edge there, but as it makes it
flat line, just keep rolling, keep rolling.
Won't be any edge there, but as it makes contact with the pad, then it goes straight on, and that's what the umpire has to work in.
Still waiting for ball tracking.
All the players out on the field are huddled together and staring at the big screen on the ground.
Still waiting for ball tracking.
Yeah, it's funny also, Brett, to get those LBW shots where a guy gets hit on the pad and then falls over to the offside. It's like, well, that's out. But if he holds his ground and keeps his balance, and I think, well, maybe heading down the leg side. We're still waiting for
ball tracking coming up. Original
ball
decision
tracking,
is
the key.
Out. Pitching outside off. Impact in line. And wickets missing.
Good review by Carl Verreynne. He breathes. What it must be like waiting
Stand by.
that interminable length of time when you've reviewed it and you've been given out. And you know, oh, dear, it's got to be missing. Have I got it right?
Briefly, I've got a bit of a story to tell as well.
Has been a match of overturned decisions. That is the 8th decision given that has been overturned on. I said he liked to sweep, but given that it almost cost him his wicket, he may just hide that sweep away again.
Yeah, I think he's got much better chance with a full face down to long on, maybe wide of long on.
Oh, there's the time. Verreynne just copes. It's 146 for 4.
Here's another look. Big turn from Mahedi. And Verreynne just getting the bat down in time.
We were chatting a bit earlier about who you'd prefer at which end, and instinct would say Verreynne against the off spinner because the ball's turning in, and Rickleton at the quick. Well, Rickleton is looking fairly comfortable against the quick, but Verreynne anything but against the off spinner.
Yeah, he is a good player of spin. I'd say he's probably a touch better against the left arm spin. He enjoys the extra cover area inside out is more of his game, and against the off spin it's tough to play the inside out strokes.
Here's Khaled. Oh, that one's nipped a long, long way.
Yeah, that's proper movement. You've got to think that that's hit aside of a divot that's been there for the bulk of the test match, or a crack or something, because this is prodigious. The ball 52 overs old, just stand there. He misses it comfortably, and that's often when there's accentuated movement that it is the case, because he's not even close to getting the bat on that one.
uncomfortable time for both South African youngsters. Sent back. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think there might have been one. If they're alert to that, possibly there. They need to keep rotating the strike to change the target area for these bowlers.
Come on, Ash, give us your review story.
So it was the early days of the DRS, and the match referee and umpires will still give the captains an option, and both captains will have to agree, come and speak to their players maybe in the lead up to the test.
As to whether you would use the system on. Oh, okay.
Whether you would use it or not. So we have a team meeting and put it to a vote. I think I was one of maybe 2 or 3 who said, no, let's just let the umpires do the thing. Eventually, majority ruled. We decided to go with the DRS, both captains, and then, as you have it, it was against Pakistan at Centurion. I think it was on 97 or 98, and given out against Muhammad Asif. I said, I'll have a look at that one, please.
It's a good shot. It's only going to be one now because there's protection down at third man.
So you didn't think of saying, well,